The pier stretched into the darkness like an accusation, its weathered planks bearing the weight of salt and time, with the same resigned endurance that Anya had come to recognize in herself. She held the lantern close, not for light. The coordinates burned bright enough in her mind, but for the illusion of warmth against the indifference of the sea. The storm had passed, they said. But storms, Anya knew, never truly pass. They settle into the bones of things, into the memory of wood and metal and human flesh, waiting to be awakened by the next moment of weakness. The evacuation order had come and gone like all orders do, urgent, absolute, and ultimately powerless against the deeper currents that move beneath human decision. All personnel out. Now. But Anya remained, because remaining was what she did. It was her nature, as fixed and inevitable as the tides. Behind her, the Helix research station bled its artificial light into the night, its machines cycling through their electronic prayers with the mindless devotion of believers who had long forgotten what they worshipped. The quantum servers hummed their silicon lamentations, processing data that would outlive them all. She had learned to read the language of these machines as others read the faces of their children, with intimate knowledge of every flicker and pause. Where her colleagues saw chaos in the storm-torn signals, Anya saw the syntax of desperation. The electromagnetic veil that shrouded their work had been torn, and through the gaps came voices that should have remained silent. 37 heartbeats pulsed in unison across the dark waters. She felt them through the station's hull, through the vibrations that traveled from steel to bone to soul. They beat with a rhythm that men had not been born to sustain, a cadence imposed by needles and neural pathways, and the terrible mathematics of human improvement. The tablet glowed, 34.765N, 120 ton 987W. Numbers that meant nothing to those who had not earned the right to understand them. Coordinates carved into her consciousness with the precision of scar tissue, each digit a small betrayal of the woman she had been before the modifications. The radio whispered its broken prayer. Helix Station. This is the Medusa. 18 days adrift. We are not what we were. 18 days. 3 months since they had vanished, swallowed by their own ambitions and the sea's infinite patience. The Medusa crew, volunteers they had called themselves, though Anya knew that desperation wore many masks. They had offered their minds to the surgeons and their flesh to the experiment, seeking transformation into something harder, more efficient, better suited to a world that seemed determined to kill them slowly. Instead, they had become exiles from their own humanity. The station's artificial intelligence spoke with the hollow certainty of a machine that had never doubted. Survival probability for Medusa crew at current coordinates, 0.003%. Recommend immediate. Anya silenced it. Machines calculated probability. Humans lived through impossibility. The AI measured survival against the parameters of unmodified flesh, but the Medusa crew had long since abandoned such limitations, as had she. The modifications spread like roots through the research community, control groups and test subjects, observers who became the observed, watchers who discovered they too were being watched. She was both hunter and prey, savior and specimen. The coordinates pulled at her with the inexorable force of gravity, each number a thread in a web that had been weaving itself since the first scalpel touched the first volunteer's skull. She packed her tools with the methodical care of one who had learned that preparation was another form of prayer. Quantum beacon, neural interface, the waterproofed journal where she recorded currents that existed in dimensions her instruments could not measure. At the weapons locker, she paused. The flare gun lay beside the neural disruptor like conscience beside expedience. She chose the disruptor. If the Medusa crew had survived 18 days of transformation, she might need to offer them the mercy of forgetting what they had become. The launch bay doors opened onto the storm-churned sea, and Anya felt the coordinates singing in her blood like a fever. Behind her, the station continued its electronic vigil, servers bleeding data into the wounded night, quantum processors grinding through calculations that would outlive their creators. Some patterns, once begun, demanded completion. Some hungers could only be fed by feeding them. And some storms never truly passed. They only moved deeper, into the places where the heart meets the machine, where human ambition encounters the vast indifference of the sea. Anya stepped into her boat and pointed it toward the coordinates that had been burned into her soul. The darkness swallowed her wake, but the numbers remained, bright and terrible as stars.